All right, strap yourselves in for a deep dive. It's going to take us right into the heart of a locked room mystery. We're talking stormy night, a train racing through the dark, and a murderer that turns the whole trip into a fight to survive.
Oh, just thinking about it gives me chills.
We're going deep into some excerpts from Pasted Text, which throws us right into the action with a handful of passengers. These passengers are about to find out just how deadly secrets can be.
You know, the way the author sets the scene, that classic locked room mystery on a moving train,
Yeah.
it instantly creates that feeling of being trapped,
Mm.
that claustrophobia, that isolation, like there's nowhere to escape.
But wait.
And then you add in the storm raging outside.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like it's mirroring the turmoil that's about to break loose inside the train. It's really masterful how they build that suspense right from the start.
Absolutely. Then we meet these passengers. Each one is like a carefully crafted piece of this chilling puzzle.
Right.
There's Evelyn Harper, so focused on her work. Dr. Marcus Bell, he seems respectable at first, but you know he's got something hidden.
Oh.
Sam Warden, rough around the edges,
Yeah.
like radiating nervous energy.
Yeah.
And there's the quiet, artistic Leela Hayes.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we can't forget Conductor Henry, trying to keep this train on track, both literally and figuratively.
Yeah, you got it.
Talk about a powder keg of personalities ready to explode.
It's like the author's practically begging us to play detective right from the get-go. We get these little glimpses into each character, Evelyn's intensity, Sam's anxiety, Leela just withdrawn in silence. It makes you wonder, what are they hiding? How are they connected to Dr. Bell, the guy who ends up murdered?
Yeah. And then, bam! The lights go out, a scream rips through the darkness, and Dr. Bell is found dead. Suddenly, that feeling of claustrophobia, it becomes a terrifying reality.
It does.
They're stuck with a killer, and every passenger becomes a suspect.
See, that power outage isn't just a plot device. It's symbolic.
Okay.
It plunges them into darkness, just like the fear and uncertainty that's about to take them over.
Right.
And that locked train situation just cranks up the tension even more.
It does.
They can't get away. They can't call for help. They have to face the killer right there with them.
All right, so everyone is a suspect. But who has the strongest motive? The text starts to unravel those connections, those secret histories that link each passenger to Dr. Bell.
Yeah.
We find out Evelyn had a big professional clash with him over some ethical issues.
Mm.
And it wasn't just a disagreement, it hinted at something much deeper,
Mm-hmm.
something that could definitely make someone want to kill.
Right, and this is where the story gets more complicated than just a simple whodunit. It starts to explore the gray areas of morality. Like, where do we draw the line when we feel wronged or betrayed? Evelyn's story makes you wonder, how far would you go to stand up for what you believe in?
Yeah.
Even if it meant silencing someone forever.
Whoa, that is heavy stuff.
Mm.
And then there's Sam Warden. His motive, it just hits you right in the gut. He's drowning in debt from his son's medical bills, and it's so clear he blames Dr. Bell.
Mm.
The text even describes him clutching a crumpled medical bill. Just a constant reminder of how desperate he is, how much he's hurting.
Yeah. Like, that bill represents his breaking point.
It's such a small detail, but so powerful, that crumpled bill.
It is.
It tells you so much about Sam, his struggles, the crazy pressure he's under.
Yeah.
We see this happen in real life all the time. When people get desperate for money, they do unimaginable things.
Absolutely. And just when you think you might be zeroing in on the most likely suspect, the story throws us a curveball.
Oh, yeah.
We have Leela, the quiet artist who's been sketching the whole time. Suddenly, her sketchbook becomes a crucial piece of evidence.
Oh, wow.
It has this creepy drawing of Dr. Bell dead. And then she whispers this haunting story about her sister dying, hinting at a link to Dr. Bell and maybe a motive for revenge.
That's where the story digs into the psychological side of grief and trauma.
It does.
Is Leela really grieving, or is it all an act?
Yeah.
Is her silence a sign of sadness, or is it the calm before the storm? It's like the author is playing with us, making us question everything we thought we knew about her. It's like we're peeling back the layers of this messed up onion, and each layer is more disturbing than the last. Just when you think you're figuring out who's behind this murder, the story throws another twist at us. Another power outage, the train goes dark again. This time, Conductor Henry gets attacked.
And it doesn't feel random at all, does it?
No.
It's deliberate, almost like it's planned. Someone is trying to control what's happening, leading the investigation in the wrong direction.
Oh, yeah?
And then they find that locket with Leela's name on it.
Wow.
Talk about a classic frame job.
It
It
is.
makes you question everything. Who's trying to make Leela look guilty?
Right. It's like a game of chess, with every move thought out to protect the real killer. We get so caught up in trying to figure out who killed Dr. Bell that we almost forget the most important question. Why? What secrets are so big that someone would go this far, kill someone, frame an innocent person, pull off this whole charade?
It's that why that often shows you the real criminal mind.
It does.
Think about real-life cases. Sometimes the method, the how they did it, is almost less important than the motivation, the why.
Yeah.
And here, the motives are a whole mess of professional rivalry, money problems, and wanting revenge.
Absolutely. And just when you think it can't get any crazier, we get Leela's confession. But it's not that she's guilty. It's a confession of cold, calculated revenge.
Wow.
Her laugh, it sends chills down your spine, and she confirms she planned it all. The murder, framing Henry, it's like a mask just comes off, and you see this darkness we never expected.
It really flips everything we thought we knew. We're used to thinking the quiet ones are harmless, but Leela proves that silence can be dangerous, hiding a storm inside. Her confession isn't her breaking down, it's her taking control.
And her motive, revenge for her sister's death, her belief that Dr. Bell ruined lives, makes you think about if her actions were right or wrong, you know?
It does.
You get her pain, her anger. But can you say taking another life is okay? It makes us face those tough questions about justice, about vengeance, about where the line is between right and wrong.
Exactly. It's not simple good versus evil. This story shows how complicated people are, how grief, trauma, and feeling like you've been wronged can twist your mind, make you do things you never thought you could.
And then, just when you think things can't get worse, Leela drops another bombshell. She sabotaged the train brakes.
Oh, wow.
It's not just about Dr. Bell anymore. She wants to take everyone down with her. It's a scary reminder that some people are so consumed by their own pain, they'll hurt anyone.
It's like they're constantly raising the stakes. The tension just keeps building and building until you're holding your breath, wondering how anyone could possibly survive this. And then, as the train speeds toward that broken bridge, everything changes. It's not about finding justice anymore. It's about staying alive.
Right, it's like the author's playing with us, taking us on this crazy ride of suspense, intrigue, and pure terror. But even in all that chaos, there's a tiny bit of hope. Evelyn, the one who's been level-headed this whole time, she steps up. She sees that emergency brake override and makes a split-second decision to take charge.
It's a huge moment for Evelyn. We've seen how smart she is, how she stays cool under pressure. But now we see her bravery in action. She doesn't hesitate. She doesn't freak out. She takes control when everything seems lost.
It's like all those years in the business world, all those high-pressure deals, got her ready for this. Talk about a pressure cooker.
Yeah.
Everyone's lives depend on her getting that brake to work.
Yeah, the author doesn't hold back on how hard it is either. You can practically feel Evelyn struggling as she pulls with everything she's got. Hear that metal grinding as the brakes finally grab. It's intense. You're on the edge of your seat.
And then that relief when the train screeches to a stop. So close to the edge of that broken bridge. Sparks flying, metal groaning. It's like an assault on your senses.
It is.
You can practically taste the metal in the air, feel those vibrations. And then, silence. Then, sirens in the distance.
It's like the storm outside is reflecting what happened on the train.
Yeah.
The chaos ends. The danger passes. But what happened? It's not over. Those sirens, they mean the authorities are coming. A reminder that even though the immediate threat is gone, what Leela did will have consequences.
Man, we've really been through it with these passengers, haven't we?
Mm-hmm.
From murder to almost going off the rails, this deep dive into pasted text has had me hooked.
It really has. What gets me is how the author mixes all these different kinds of suspense together. It starts like a classic whodunit, then it becomes this psychological thriller. You're questioning everybody's motives, if they're even sane. And just when you think it can't get more intense, it turns into a race against time.
Yeah, you're fighting to survive.
That's desperate fight.
It's like they took all the best parts of suspense and crammed them into one crazy story.
Yeah.
And the way the train itself becomes a character,
Oh, yeah.
this metal cage speeding through the storm.
Yeah.
It's like a reflection of the danger and chaos inside. It's genius.
You know, it's funny how often trains pop up in these kinds of stories. They're like a symbol of going into the unknown. That feeling of being trapped, isolated,
Right.
and being stuck in that small space. It ramps up the tension, forces those confrontations to happen.
Now that you mention it, that train ride is kind of like the journey we've been on as readers, isn't it?
Yeah.
We started with these strangers, all carrying their own secrets.
Mm-hmm.
As we got deeper into the story, we got more invested in them. trying to figure out the clues with them.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like we were right there in that train car, feeling that same fear and uncertainty.
That's what a good story does, right? It
Yeah.
pulls you in, makes you feel like you're part of it, living those emotions. And this one, it really makes you question what you think you know about people, about why they do what they do.
So true. Remember the beginning when we were trying to decide who was trustworthy? I bet we all had our own ideas about who the killer was.
Oh, absolutely. And then as we kept reading, we had to rethink those ideas as new stuff came up. It reminds you first impressions can be totally wrong. There's always more to the story than you see at first.
All right, so let's go back to that final question in the text. If you were on that train, who would you have suspected first and why? What clues would have stood out to you?
That's a really good question, isn't it? It makes us think about the story on a deeper level, like we're detectives ourselves.
Yeah.
Would you have been fooled by Evelyn's smarts and how calm she seemed? Or would Sam's desperation have made him your main suspect? What about Leela? Would you have thought her quietness was suspicious? Or just that she was keeping to herself?
Honestly, I don't think I could have figured out who the killer was.
Yeah.
Every passenger had their reasons, their secrets. They all had the potential to do something dark. This story shows how even people who seem normal can do crazy things when they're pushed too far.
That's what makes this deep dive so interesting. It's not just a fun mystery, it's like a peek into the dark side of people, a reminder that we all have good and bad inside us.
This story really got me thinking about how our actions can affect other people. Sometimes one person's choices can have consequences that no one saw coming.
That's for sure. It also makes you think about justice and what it's like to keep secrets.
Well, I think we can all agree that none of us will ever look at a late-night train ride the same way again.
I know I'll definitely be watching the other passengers more closely.
This has been an awesome deep dive.
It has.
I feel like we've only just scratched the surface of all the ideas in pasted text. But that's what makes a good story so good, right? It sticks with you even after you're done. Makes you think and see things differently.
It's a good reminder that stories can teach us about ourselves and the world, even if they take us on a scary ride.
So, as you go about your day, remember those lessons from that Midnight Express. Keep your eyes open, don't believe everything you see at first glance, and never underestimate the power of a good story.
And hey, maybe pack a flashlight just in case you're ever on a train and the lights go out.
Haha, good advice.
Ah.
Thanks for joining us on this thrilling deep dive. We'll be back soon with another one, so stay tuned.